Hey there, students. It's me, Mr. Matthews, and I hear you're talking about maps and making them. So I just wanted to make a video to maybe help you with your map making. Let's see about it. I'm gonna make myself a little bit smaller, and I want to show you some maps. This is one of the first maps ever created by a human looking down. Normally, we'd have to climb up to mountains and look down to draw these maps. But this was created by Leonardo da Vinci, who's over here drawn. He also made the Mona Lisa, an unfinished painting. He tried to paint 17 times. But this is a map that he made for the Italian government just by walking around the city and thinking, how would a bird see this from above? And so he just imagined differently and thought otherwise about how we could see our towns, not just from our own point of view, but from a bird's above us. And so this is called a bird's eye view map. So here's another map by Leonardo da Vinci. This isn't just the same as it, but it's a 3/4 view, meaning that we can see into the city. We can see into the city. We can see the different buildings in the city. He uses color in this a lot to show you where the mountains are, what the color of the buildings are. This is important stuff. Here's another map he made of an area of a coastline, and you can see the giant wall that goes around, protects the city over here and down here. Funny thing about walls is they only last as good as you build them, and if you're just nice to people, you don't need walls or fences. But this town needed them to protect themselves. And so Leonardo da Vinci drew this map of this culture and how they would ship, where they get the ships come in. And we can see things like, hey, look at this. This looks like a palace. And we can see these things when we look at it more and more. Here's another one from books and movies. This is Mordor and Middle Earth from The Lord of the Rings. Tolkien, he created The Hobbit and then The Lord of the Rings. And then they made a billion-dollar movie franchise out of it. And we were all entertained by it. But for a long time, people had to read this book and then refer to this map to get this idea. And it helped the movie makers having a map. In fact, some people even think that this map is not about Middle Earth, but about America. And so this author was talking about America in his writing when he was talking about this way of thinking. I don't know if it's true. I wasn't there when Tolkien was writing this, but it does kind of make sense, and it kind of matches up to our areas that we live in. He could have been just using this as inspiration, or he could have just been trying to put a bigger message in his writings. I'm not sure, but that's him, the artist, making it, and us as the readers or the people experiencing the art, trying to figure out what the artist meant. Students, here's one of the English Canal. You can expect to see certain birds or owls or planes flying over certain areas. There was an alien sighting once time here. This was in London, and you can travel through England and London through canals, and each one of these things where it breaks up is a lock that you have to go and stop at. It also shows you where bridges are, and so you can plan out your thing, but you can also see local areas. This artist makes tons of them for his community. Sorry. Is it just one? Okay, it's just one, but he makes tons of them. We also see him in video games like Super Mario Brothers. You can see the map of this thing and where you have to go to complete missions. We see more maps like this in different video games, and you can see things. A map is important because if you don't have defined areas, you don't have an area know where you're playing at in a game and where you need to go. That's why a lot of video games have maps. Maps that show different things, and they show different dimensions where you're looking at it, looking above it, if you're in there. My phone has a map. When we are lost in a city, what I normally pull up is my map, and it shows me Wilsonville. It shows me everything. So a map is very important in your life. Students, here's some maps of some video games. Maybe you played Zelda or Red Dead or Assassin's Creed or Animal Crossing. Maybe you played Assassin's Creed or Call of Duty. I think I said all of those. So all of these have maps, and they're important. They show you where different resources are, where you can get stuff. Hey, there's treasures. They're green. So I can look at the map, and I know where to go to find those. Oh, there's graves here. I need to go find a grave. Maybe it's one of these. So these maps help us play the game better. There are board games with maps. Oh, I love board games with maps because it allows you to take it, like Risk over here. You're playing for the Battle of Earth and trying to conquer everything. There's this rare game of from Boston. There's Settlers of Catan down here, Ticket to Go. But these maps make the game fun. So, students, today you are going to be making a map. A map. And this video, there we go, is going to show you how to make a map.
All right, students, we are making a map. You might know exactly what kind of map you want to make. I'm just going to use a regular drawing pencil to make a map. So, if we're making a map, we got to think about the borders of where we're going. And so you might know immediately, like, you want to make a map like, I don't know, that. And you're like, that's my favorite shape. I'm going to make a map like that. Great. That is perfect. Well, we need to know what's around this. Is it other land that are there? Is it, I don't know, mountains? M's for mountains, usually good. Or is there like a coast? Is there waves over here, coast? So we got to find the edge of a map. Let's say you don't have a favorite shape. And you're like, I don't know what to do. Well, this is a trick. You can take a rock or a glue stick or anything that moves on its own and then just try to follow it. And it makes realistic maps really well. And you can just try to follow the thing and you can force it different directions. You might have to go back and get it. And you can make some really cool, interesting maps by just allowing another object to try to predict and make things unpredictable for you so that you have a pretty cool map. So now I got a map. I didn't have it in my mind, but this looks like a map. Some things I can tell. Well, maybe this is an island. So if this is an island, I might want to put, this is an island, so I remember that this around it is all water. All of this is water. I might need a key for my map so people know where things are on my map. I need a compass, so I need to know that this is going to be north, going this direction, and this is going to be south, and this is going to be never eat, so Earth on the left side. That took some time. Jeez. So this is the way to remember it. East is usually right when you're looking north. North is that way towards Portland. So that's why I'm drawing it. And so I got this. Perfecto. Now I have a compass saying that up here is north. This is east where the sun rises. And this is west where it goes down. And this right here is south. So now that I know that, maybe I need to put a town in there. Maybe this is a town. The town of Clyde. Town of Clyde. And now maybe I put some buildings there around it to show that there's houses on there or some skyscrapers. And this is just a town. A town. Well, maybe this town is surrounded by mountains on the east. So what I can do is just make some of these type of marks that make us think of a mountain. And we can say that this is a mountain range. And so if you're the town, you might not be able to get over here to this lake. We used to call this lake the lake because it doesn't close. So I can't call it a lake. We got to use the correct terminology. So maybe this is a port. A port. Where they drop off stuff. So I got some, I don't know, some docks here, and I got like, you know, some trucks here to take it where they need to go. So the ships come in here, drop off their stuff, and the trucks take it over the mountain to the people. So I'm thinking about these things. Oh, wherever there's ways, there's usually rivers that go through that bring water into areas. So that might be a river, and rivers sort of bend and flow. And then usually they can flow into a lake. So maybe this is our lake. Lake, I don't know. Let's think of a name. Like, what lake name should we have? This is my map, so I get to choose. Well, maybe I'll call it Lake Mr. Matthews. This is where everyone goes to relax. They love it. They love that lake. You know, maybe there's some houses by there on the lake. You can do something like that to show houses. We can do big buildings. We can do even things that we know that look buildings, like Seattle Tower. So we know that this is more a city and this is sort of a local community, like a lake town. We can draw in like, oh, this is a farming area. So maybe we put on some fences like this, just to show it. You know, there's a cow in here. This is where our cows go to eat grass. So there's some cows over there. Ooh, maybe this is like and we could put like some plants in here. So we thought, oh, this is where they grow cows and corn. Cows and corn grow here. So I'm just drawing in what that looks like. This is mountainous, so maybe there's like a ski resort. Ooh, ski resort. So I'm gonna just draw someone skiing here. And they don't have to be perfect, right? But the better your drawings are, the better people understand what's going on. So there's a skier there. So there's a resort. What about down here? Oh, this is our industrial area. Yeah, we have big companies down here, and they pollute our world because we don't hold them accountable. And so all their pollution's going out into the world and making everything a little bit tougher. But we need industry, but we also need industry with regulations to protect people, because these companies aren't thinking about protecting people, they're thinking about profits. And so they want the most money, so they put out the cheapest things at all times from here. Sort of like our Amazon business model right here, okay? And so those things can get shipped from their port. Ooh, we need two names. So this is a port of, I don't know, let's call it port of, this is a hard thing with naming things. This is why it always takes tougher things. So we got port here and port here. Let's go port happy and port money. So this is where we go to get stuff to make our lives happier and better. This is where we make this stuff to get a profit. This is where we're farming stuff. Maybe there's some roads. Maybe I have a highway connecting or a path for people to walk, depending on what century it is. Now, a road looks like our water. Well, we need to put some things in there to make this look more like water. Color would be good. For our roads, we can put little lines in it like that, and people will understand it. You see how I'm turning my paper too to make it easier for me to draw? That's a trick of artist. So students, basic map. Now I'm going to put things in my key like this. ... equals road. This equals river. We can name things like river, Mr. Bennett Fay River. You know, you could just name it whatever you want. Your stuff. This is your map. And you can give it dimension. So like if I want to make some areas darker to show like, oh, those it pops out a little bit more. This might be like, oh, there's a lighthouse up here. You know, just sort of like lighthouse to protect the ships that are coming into this port. Oh no. Yep, port. Meh. There you go. Port meh. But like this is a map, and every community has a map. There are even jobs called community or city planners, and this is their job to think of maps. You can see them in stories, video games, whatever. And you're going to use this for your project. Good luck.
So students, that was my favorite artist explaining to you the importance of maps. We use them every day. I use them, especially when I'm traveling to see other cities and countries. I want to see what's important to the people who live there and try to get around easier. So, good luck on drawing your maps. I can't wait to see them. You often bring them to me and show me the cool things you're making. So I want to see them fully colored. I want to see you had details. I want you to show the key in there. The key is important. All the things, all the symbols, all the things that are important to the people that are going to be using that map so they know where they can find things. You might want to color code things like, you know, roads are red, water is blue, things like that. I don't know. It's your map, and I can't wait to see them. Good luck, students, and congratulations on making it to this step in human life, making maps. We need them, and we need people like you to make correct maps that are more helpful for people, especially people with disabilities. People in wheelchairs, they need maps to get around. Wouldn't it be so good if, like, A person in a wheelchair had a map of public transportation of all the places there's an elevator for them to get up and down in. That would be very helpful for someone, especially riding a subway or something. So try to think about the people who have it the hardest in your community when you're making this map and what would make it easier for them to get around and participate. I can't wait to see your stuff. Good luck. Bye-bye.